If somebody were to ask you who the most important person in your life is, how would you answer? I was asked that question and I got the answer wrong, not just once, but multiple times. I've asked hundreds of people over the years that same question, and the answers that you get are pretty normal. It's their kids, it's their spouse, it's their parents, and sometimes it's even God. And all of those answers are great, they're just missing something. So one day after high school, I found myself at my best friend's family's house, and his dad was there. And he sat me down at the kitchen table and he asked me that question. He said, Rick, who do you think the most important person in your life is? Without hesitation, I confidently answered that at that time it was my girlfriend. He responded with no. I moved on to my best friend. No again. Then it was my parents. Another no. Then I thought, okay, it must be God. This is what he's getting at. No, again. I sat there puzzled, thinking like, truly, who is the most important person in my world? And he responded very gently, Rick, it's you. My best friend's dad saw in me what I couldn't see and what I didn't really understand for years. It's not that I didn't think of myself as important. I did. I just put a lot of other people and their needs before me because I didn't truly know how important I was. For years, this lesson would replay over and over in my head. And slowly I built the belief that I was important. And as I did believe it, my self-worth rose. And over time, my confidence soared. So in order to help as many people as we can, let's explore the types of people that may feel like they're not as important as they should be. And pay close attention and see if any of these types of people resonate with you. Why most people don't see themselves as important. Maybe some were taught that self-worth is conditional. From an early age, some people learn they matter only when they perform, maybe they provide, or if they please. So important becomes something that you earn, not something that you are. If your value is tied to usefulness, putting yourself first feels wrong. Maybe as a child, you only felt love when you got good grades, performed well in sports, and this often develops in overachievers into adult life, specifically tied to getting promotions and titles. But self-worth is not earned, it's developed on the inside. For some others, responsibility gets confused with their identity. Being dependable, strong, or self-sacrificing becomes a badge and honor. Over time, these people stop checking in with themselves. They don't ask, how am I doing? They only ask, who or what project needs me next? When responsibility becomes their identity, self-neglect feels like a virtue to them. An example might be somebody that brags about not calling in sick from work when they actually need to stay home and rest because they don't want to let their coworkers down. There's also a quiet belief that some carry that guilt masquerades as morality. If I focus on myself, I'm taking something away from others. But guilt isn't the same as goodness. Most people aren't avoiding self-importance because they're noble. They're avoiding it because they don't want to feel selfish. Now, these are the types of people that rarely buy themselves anything, and if they do, they're just riddled with guilt over it. Others confuse love with self-erasure. Some people learned that love means disappearing a little. So the idea of being the most important person feels like a betrayal, maybe to their parents, to their spouse, to their children. It's not that they fear ego, they fear abandonment or rejection from being a little bit too much. You usually find this in relationships. One person shrinks, fearing that if they're too big, they might not be loved, so they minimize themselves. And stillness is uncomfortable for some others. When you don't prioritize yourself, you stay busy. And that busyness protects you from sitting with unresolved feelings, maybe facing misalignment of your life's purpose, and also asking the harder questions about your life and processing what needs to be processed. For these people, it's easier to stay busy or distracted than to be honest and look inside themselves. So here's the insight and the core message for today. If you neglect taking care of yourself, taking care of your health, taking care of your innermost thoughts, then at some point your inner world will express them outwardly. And all of the people that are depending on you will ultimately end up paying the price. Think about a car's engine. A motor can only be redlined for so far before that engine blows. And we don't want that. So let's reframe and dig a little bit deeper in. You can love others. You can love others deeply by still putting yourself first. Self-respect is not selfish. And this isn't a hall pass to somehow become selfish now. We need to remember that we are the foundation that our house is built on. And you have to take time to refill your cup as well. Most people don't put themselves first because they don't matter. They do it because they were never taught that taking care of themselves is actually the best way to be able to take care of others. The Bible states in Matthew 22:39, love your neighbor as yourself. It does not say love your neighbor instead of yourself. It doesn't say love your neighbor more than yourself. It doesn't say erase yourself for the sake of others. It says as yourself. Aristotle in the 4th century says the friend is another self. And what Aristotle is saying here is to be able to love another, you must love yourself first. Think about a flight attendant's instructions when you board the airplane. In case of air pressure loss in the cabin, masks from the ceiling deploy, and the instruction is you are to put your mask on first before helping the people around you. The rule is you have to take care of yourself first. If you're left wondering, well, what should I do for myself? Here are a couple great examples. 1, get your body moving and go for a walk. Let it de-stress and process what needs to be processed in the mind. Relax in an Epsom salt bath. This helps restore your body and it's relaxing. You can meditate and be silent with yourself. Visualize your importance. And you can create a daily goal to do something nice for yourself. If this feels like a lot to take in, it's okay. We don't have to fix everything today. Just noticing, having a little plan, and having some awareness, that's enough. And this certainly isn't about being somebody new overnight. That's crazy talk. My parents have told me often in life that little by little, and then all of the sudden. And I think that that's the best path for all of us today. So here's the thing that I would like you to do this week. Ask yourself, am I treating myself as somebody that's important? And am I taking care of my needs so that I can be the best version for the people that depend on me? And now, if somebody asks you in the future who the most important person in your world is, how would you answer? I bet that you might answer differently. We'll see you next time with a couple more lessons from the past, clarity for the present, and that wisdom for the future. Thanks for joining the Ric-tionary.